So what we talk about on today's episode, I almost did an intro for it. Almost didn't do one because the episode is so good by itself, but here's what I'll say. We talk about how the only way you can win the game is if you're on the field. And plus, I shared a quote from Jesse Itzler. Put yourself in a position where you can attract luck. I talk about my hiking, my clarity, and how I caught myself not being accountable and expecting a result and what you can do about it. And so I'm going to shut up now because it's time to cue the episode. So let's get into the episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mind of George Show. If you're watching this on video, the location looks a little bit different. We're in the middle of a travel stint for like 8 weeks, getting ready for the event, moving houses. So I set up a little studio at the desk at the kitchen table because I don't have room. And so if you're watching this on video, that's why it looks a little bit different. But actually, let's use that to tie into the point. What am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about how the only way to win the game is to actually put yourself in the game. And I'm going to give you some examples, talk about why this is important. But first, before we do this, I listen to very few podcasts. I tend to pick episodes that solve a specific need or have a want. And I'm finding myself listening more and more and more just to really be programming my brain with positive stuff. And, you know, one of the things that I've noticed is that I tend to gravitate towards podcasts that don't run advertisements because I don't like the middle of the reads, all of it, but I also don't mind them because I understand that's how they monetize it. One of the things I wanted to do with this podcast was to always keep it ad-free or only talk about products that I cared about or that my friends had or that I fully believed in, which I've done. But that requires you to help me with social currency. So Andy Frisella does this. He calls it paying the tax. And paying the tax is whenever you listen to the episode, share it. So I'm going to ask you to pay the tax, but we'll call it shine the light. I need you to shine the light for me. I need you to take this episode or any other episode you've listened to, post it on your Instagram stories, tag me, send them to the show. I need you to post on your social. I need you to tell a friend because this information is great when you consume it and your friends consume it, and then you hold each other accountable, and then you tell me what you want more of, then I can record an episode about that, and we build this together. And so I need you to pay the light tax. I need to turn the light up a little bit for me and share this with your friends. Send this to somebody, post it on social. Do your magic. So I'm packing right now to go meet my family in LA, bring my kids back. We're on the travel. We're on the road. We're doing a lot of stuff right now. And I went on two back-to-back hikes this week. One, I went to hike a mountain called Mount Oberlin in Glacier National Park. And I was prepared. I checked the weather. The weather said it was going to be about 35 degrees, but clear skies, light dusting of snow, about an inch on the ground. But I live in Montana, so I prepared accordingly. And I showed up, and at 7 a.m. when the storm was supposed to be gone, the storm was coming in. And it wasn't 35. It was about 5. There were 50-mile-an-hour winds, and there wasn't an inch of snow. There were at points 10 to 12 inches of snow. Now, I'm telling you that because I'm going to tell you one of my dreams in Montana. So I live in Montana. I love Montana. I'm never leaving. And one of the things that I really love is wildlife. And I always get bummed when I'm like driving around like the normal spots. I'm like, oh, the elk aren't out, or oh, I didn't see a bear, or oh, man, all I saw was deer today, or I didn't get to see a mountain ram, or one of the goats, things like that. And I'm always like looking at pictures and Instagram, I'm always looking at other people's videos. I'm always looking at their photos and their adventures. I'm like, God, they're seeing animals. They're seeing animals. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel very grounded and alive when I'm in nature or anywhere in the world and I see nature. I see wildlife. And so I show up, I look at the hike, and I'm like, I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm the only crazy person. Not one other person was on that hike. In the 3 hours I was there, I didn't see one other human being. It was just me. And I made it to the Ridgeline, and the Ridgeline is like the ridge of a glacier. And so the wind pelted my face. My face was covered in like red swelts from the wind and the ice and the sleet. And I was just loving it. I was as happy as a pig in a shit pen, like if that's really a thing. Just a mud puddle, happy. I don't know why. It makes me feel alive. I made it to the top. I reflected for a couple minutes while I froze in the wind, and my camelback froze shut. The water in the tube froze. My knife froze into its holster. It was hilarious. And I start coming down, and I'm recording this like reflective video that I was deciding if I was going to share on Instagram stories or not. And in reflecting, I said this, what a gift this was, just me and nature, no animals, no people, no nothing. And in that moment, I ended the video and I was like, oh, I haven't seen any animals. And I was like, that's okay. I wasn't meant to see them today. And then I come over the crest of a hill and I see this majestic male ram. And number one, it was about twice the size that I thought they were in person. Like, no joke, his back was like up to my sternum. I mean, I'm not tall, but his back was like up to my sternum. And this thing was just a walking beefcake. And we spent 10 minutes together. I mean, like direct eye contact. It felt like we had this deep connection. We were looking at each other. We were connecting. We were both out there in the middle of a snowstorm, 30-mile-an-hour wind. We're 15 feet away from each other. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. And there was this like beautiful moment that I could not ever comprehend, understand, reiterate to you in a way that makes sense to what I experienced in that moment. And so we're there, and then I move out of the way, and he walks by me. He perches up on a rock, and he actually watches me hike down the mountain. And so I get in the car, I go for the drive, I come out, and then I go for a hike the next day. And on the next day, I hike a hike that I do all the time called Mount Aeneas. And it's about 6 miles round trip, maybe 2,000 feet of climbing. And I know like exactly how long it takes me to get to the summit. I know the route. I know occasionally there's like goats up there. And I'm doing the hike again, and super quiet. I did it on a weekday. The weather was kind of cold, and I loved it. It was silent. I did the hike. I get to the top, and I'm like, man, bummer. I didn't see any wildlife today again. And then on the way down, no joke, right on the way down on the ridgeline, this mountain goat, different than a ram, pops up and starts walking with me. And he's 3-4 feet away from me at points, and just it was like he was playing with me, like a Labrador. And I took a moment. I took a video. I let it in. And then on the entire hike down, another hour, I was just reflecting. And I was like, look at me. I've been in Montana, and I'm like, oh, my dream is to pull up on a river and see a grizzly eating a fish. That's my dream. Like, that's how I know I made it in Montana. And I was like, but I expect myself to see it in the car. I realized on the hike down that I was expecting to win a game, but I wasn't putting myself on the field. I was expecting to see the wildlife without ever going into the woods. I was expecting that every single time I hike, it's a guaranteed win. I had expectations without putting in the work and without doing any of the work required to actually get there. And it just led me down this thought, and I started typing notes in my phone and saying, if you want to win the game, you have to put yourself on the field. And then I got in the car, I pop up on Instagram, and Jesse Itzler just did a post, and one of his quotes from one of his keynotes was, everybody needs a little luck. Put yourself in a position where you can attract luck. All of us want to win the game, but the only way to win the game is to consistently get on the field where the game is played and then keep showing up until you win. And this wildlife thing for me is such a powerful metaphor. And I'm going to be really transparent with you. I've gotten to a lot of points in my life, and I feel like I expect a result, or I've expected a result without putting the work in to get the result. I've expected the final dish, but I wanted somebody else to prep my ingredients and mise en place and cook the process. I've expected to see wildlife, but that means I want to get in my car and drive to a spot where I can only get out for 2 minutes, take a picture, and then the picture I'm taking is more for the clout on social media than it is for the experience, because I haven't been willing to put in the work. And so this wildlife thing of mine is a metaphor for everything in business, in life, in fitness, in nutrition, in all of it. In all these areas of my life, I have a field in front of me, and I have two choices every single day. And this is what separates the greats from the not so greats. It's that in every single moment, in every single domain of my life, I'm either going to choose to expect a result without putting in the work and not getting on the field, or I'm going to get on the field, put in the work, and a result might come, and it might be a byproduct of me putting in the work. And if it doesn't, I'm going to get back on the field and I'm going to keep playing. And I cannot tell you that hike in the snowstorm, if you didn't see my Instagram, I was also met with this beautiful sunrise. I'm about to get teary-eyed thinking about it. I'm halfway up this mountain and I look over the glaciers in Glacier National Park, and I'm in the middle of a storm, and the storm clears just enough for the sunrise to come peeking through these two glaciers. And the ceiling, the cloud ceiling, is only 200 feet above the ground. And so what it ended up looking like was there was a fire raining down from the clouds. And I actually posted this on social media, and people thought it was a fire. It wasn't a fire, it was the sunrise through the clouds in a snowstorm. And I think about it as I sat there and I recorded and I watched this 10-minute sunrise that I was blessed to be able to share. And if I never got out of my car, if I never went on that hike, if I allowed the weather to be like, no, don't go, and I just sat in my car and waited to take a picture of something, I would have never seen that sunrise. I would have never seen that ram. I would have never gotten to the top and experienced that joy. And those are the moments that make it worth it. But that's what separates the greats from the not so greats. And there are plenty of times in my day and in my life where I'm in the not so great category and I have to buck up and hold myself accountable. And I'm like, wait, am I expecting something and I didn't do the work? Am I expecting a result and I didn't put myself in the field? Am I expecting the world to give me quote unquote luck while I sit on my couch and scroll through Instagram and watch Ted Lasso on Apple TV? Because that's not where it comes. I heard somebody a long time ago, and I don't remember who, but he said, luck happens at the intersection of preparation and dedication. And it really, really resonated with me, but I never really fully understood it. I can prepare all day, but if I don't stay dedicated to the vision and put the work in every day and put myself in the field and get myself in the arena where the magic happens, I can't ever get there. And so I think about all the instances, business, marketing, mindset, everywhere. And it doesn't matter. Pick your business, pick your life, pick your modality. We want to lose weight. Awesome. Well, there's only really a couple levers to move. Number one is you eat cleaner. Number two is you sleep more, which actually helps. And number three is you work out and sweat. But you can't expect to lose weight by thinking about the gym while you sit on your couch. You can't expect to lose weight while eating more than you should and unhealthy and not doing anything about it. You want to get on podcasts. Amazing. You know how you get on podcasts? You go find the podcast that you want to get on and you reach out. You get into communities that have podcasters or promote podcasts. You're like, oh man, I really need to meet these people and I can't meet these people. I'm like, well, where do those people hang out? And you're like, oh, they go to events. I'm like, what events? I'm like, oh, they go to this one event every year. I'm like, great, are you going? And you're like, no. I'm like, great, go. And this just happened to me. I was in Denver giving a keynote. Greg Kimball, Kayla Kimball, absolutely amazing. One of the best the best event I've ever been to. I was called the Final Percent, and I described it in one way to my buddy Brian Bogert. He said, "How do you feel about this event?" I said, "I feel like a born again, soul complete, loving human being." Like the event was loaded with so much purity and so much intention and so much love and care that being in the room like healed childhood wounds and trauma of mine. And I literally left that room and left that event feeling like pure. And I changed a trip to Hawaii with my family to be in that room. My family flew to Hawaii. I flew to Denver because I wanted to give that talk, and Lindsay and me and the kids were all on the same board, and I was going to give that talk, and I was going to do it, and I was going to show up, and I was going to play. And being in that room and me being on that field was the greatest gift to me. But I never would have gotten that gift if I didn't show up and play on that field. And so the moral of the story today is that you cannot expect to win a game that you're not playing on the field. You can't interact with the play. You can't input into the outcome. You can't do anything different from the sideline. You have to be playing. And so no matter where you are in your life, in your business, in your fitness, in your relationship, if something is going to be different, it's because we are going to make it different. If something is going to change, it's because we are going to change it. And zero change and zero shifts will come from being a passenger in the game or being a coach on the sideline. It will come from us putting ourselves on the field in every single opportunity and giving it our best, because that is where the magic happens. And so the metaphor for me that I'm going to keep reminding myself of is wildlife. I want to see a grizzly bear eating fish out of a river. That's like a dream of mine. I've seen goats, I've seen black bears, I've seen plenty of stuff here living in Montana, and I want to see that grizzly. But I'm going to tell you something right now. There's probably not a road that I can drive my little Subaru Outback on and sit on and would just wait for a grizzly to come eat a fish out of a river. I'm going to have to put myself in the field. I'm going to have to hike. I'm going to have to backpack. And I'm going to have to go out looking just to spend time in nature, getting acquainted and getting clear and getting refreshed. And I'll probably end up seeing one as a happenstance or circumstance because I'm not looking for it, but I put myself on the field for the right reasons. And so I wanted to share that with you today because I think it's so prevalent and so important, especially in the state of the world and the stuff that we're living in, that at every single opportunity, we realize that we're the quarterback and we can only throw the pass if we get on the field. And so our job and what's going to make us great in whatever modality, whatever we commit to, whatever we give our energy to, is our willingness to get on the field and stay on the field. And then when we realize that we're expecting something or wanting something that has not come, we have the foresight and the integrity with ourselves to realize, of course, it hasn't come. Nobody else is going to give it to us. Nobody else is going to bring it to us. We have to get back on the field and we have to go make it happen. And that's what I want to talk about today. So please, if you enjoyed today's episode, send me an Instagram DM. My Instagram is It's George Bryant. Let me know that you like it. Let me know takeaway and spread the light. Take this episode, and when you send it to me, send me a message. Send this episode to somebody else. Post it on your Instagram stories. Post it on Instagram. Post it on Facebook. Send it to your email list. Share it with your audience. Hell, if you have an audience and you want me to come do a call with your audience, DM me on Instagram and ask. I'm going to say yes. I say yes every single time. I love that stuff. It makes me happy. But that's how I put myself on the field. Or not, but, and that's how I put myself on the field. So I want you to put yourself on the field. I want you to shine the light for me. I want you to put this into practice and realize that the only way to win the game is to make sure that you're on the field when you're playing, giving that directed energy where it belongs and allowing it to happen. And I will read Jesse's quote again because I like it. Everyone needs a little luck. Put yourself in a position where you can attract luck. And I think that is the best way to summarize what we talked about today. So I'm about to get on an airplane and go meet my family. I will see you guys soon. You will either hear me in your earballs or you will see me on the next episode. But either way, remember, relationships will always beat algorithms. Thank you for being you. Thank you for shining the light. If you're coming to Montana, I cannot wait to see you at our event. If you're not, you might want to send me a DM because I think we have under 7 or 8 tickets left. DM me the word Montana. But other than that, have a beautiful day. Oh, and if you're listening to this like after October of 2021 and somehow we're in the future, you missed that event. And that's okay. We'll probably do more, but reach out to me anyways. But other than that, have a good day.